When you play a game, usually these days there are skins. Different costumes or visual versions of the character, model, or UI used in the game. Skins usually are the thing you either work towards as a nice side thing and progression so the game doesn't feel so empty, or it's the source of money that the game needs to make more updates and pay the developers. In other words, skins are valuable. To make skins you need a process that includes all kinds of steps like planning, concept art modeling, testing, coding, and I have had interest in one part of this process for a while: 2D concept art. Not specifically in skins, but in general, I love concept art. I love making it, I love seeing other people's concepts, and I would like to one day do concept art for a living. And for that, I would need practice. Hence this video you are watching. So the goal for this video is for me to practice making concept art for skins. The skill needed to make concept art for games to a higher caliber like Overwatch, you need to have pretty good art skills. I would consider my own art intermediate level, not professional but not a newbie either. And although the plan is to practice, I definitely don't want this to be a boring studying session, so to make it more intriguing, it's all randomized. The plan is to have 10 random heroes. Every hero is picked by a website that has a random chance to pick any hero and obviously no duplicates. Then all of them are gonna get a theme that is absolute. I can't change the theme once it's been set, and if I struggle, welcome to the game of learning. So let's say I get Mercy and the theme is a rusty doorknob. That is exactly what I'm going to have to work with. But I still have creative freedom to make the skin, otherwise this would be way too boring. I need to take into account how the skin would work in game, so the skin concept still needs to resemble the hero and have major elements that are important to gameplay. And to make this more simple, I am not doing back sprites nor gun models. I'm just focusing on the concept and the idea of the skin. And that's basically all that you need to know. The next thing we will see is whether I should quit this art business because I'm too horrible, or if I actually might have some hope. Without further explanation, here are the heroes and the theme for each hero. First is Cassidy, with a randomized fashion style as the theme. The fashion style I got was military goth. I personally didn't know this was even a thing and have zero clue how I would even go about this, but sure. Lucio with a random Pokemon as the theme. 3 is Winston with a random profession and he will be working as a chef. 4 is Moira with a random fantasy race, and the race I got was a humanoid hyena hybrid, which I didn't know the existence of. Apparently it's known from D&D the board game and it sounds like a hard one. Oh, and it's called Gnoll. 5 is Pharah and she's going to be a random animal. And the random animal is a bald eagle. I find it very fitting that the flying hero is a bird, but when you think about it, making a skin from that will not be easy. 6 is Roadhog with a random plant, and the plant Fate chose was green Thistle. I don't even know if I said that right. I'm pretty sure this is what the donkey from Winnie the Pooh eats, right? This again sounds like a hard one to make a skin with, but I'll try. 6 is Genji with a random game collaboration as the theme. And for this one, I waited till the RNG gave me a game that I had played before, and Genji got Among Us. This sounds like an actually good collaboration. 8 is Junkrat. The theme for Junkrat is mythical animal and the wheel I found gave me specifically an aggressive unicorn. 9 is Hanzo. Hanzo is the only one I just simply chose the theme for. I know, what a disgusting cheater am I. And he's gonna be a skeleton. And finally 10 is Tracer, and her theme was a random element. I thought we were talking about elements like water, fire, but the randomizer gave me first death, but I just didn't want to do death since 1, how is that even an element? 2nd, Hanzo has skeleton and I feel like those are too close to each other, so teehee, I cheat again, and on the second roll I got blood. And now everything is set, and the final thing to do is to spend countless hours drawing them. Yippee! Wow, that took me way longer than I expected, but here we are finally. The first skin was Military Goth Cassidy, and immediately I was a bit intimidated by this because I don't have a lot of experience in clothing design, and I feel like that shows. I am kinda confused about the whole situation, and I felt like a lost child trying to find my mom. I tried other colors, but anything other than black just made me feel like I'm not being faithful to the theme, since every reference photo I could find had only black and a little bit of white, so I stuck with that. Also, this was the first drawing I had done in a while, so I had to warm up at the same while I was making the skin. And now that I see the final results, the time I spent making these skins was not spent on nothing. Compared to the later skins, this is kinda bad honestly, but you can be the judge of that when we get there. All I'm gonna say is that the drawings get a lot better later. Next we have Lucio. This was the skin I had to start really learning with, because how can you turn this into a skin in Overwatch? And there I realized that in skin making you have to take liberties and choose how you use the inspiration. I can't just slap Wooloo to replace Lucio, so handling that for the first time was challenging, fun, but most of all eye-opening. The final look in concept is pretty decent, but this is still where I haven't gotten my art skills back, so some of the lines are a little wobbly. but I'm glad to say I got my groove back on the next one. The third skin was for Winston, and he got the chef theme. Out of all the possibilities, I think I went with the easiest one by just making Winston be in a chef costume. There isn't a lot of the character that changed at all, but this also is the case with a lot of other Winston skins in the game, so that made me feel a little better. I tried to find a good chef uniform to take inspiration from, and I think making the color white was better than black, just because it's more stereotypical and expected that chef clothes are white. Plus, Winston himself is a darker tone, so making clothes that contrast it is going to give the skin more punch. The final result is pretty clean and simple. It's one of those skin ideas that I think people would in general like. I don't know how well I executed that idea, so I'm gonna need for you to be the judge of that. Next, Moira, and her theme was a Gnoll. Gnolls are a hybrid between hyenas and people. In the sources I found, they looked like the barbaric type, like goblins or other animalistic, maybe a little bit dumber versions of people. I felt like that is the exact opposite of what Moira as a character is, very sophisticated and clean, so I thought the most sensible thing to do was to make Moira the most clean, smart and scientific of the Gnolls. I came up with some lore for the skin and it's very simple with not many details. Just something like Moira was a Gnoll that found this container full of essence that could heal and inflict damage, and she used her intelligence to turn that into a weapon out of rocks and tubes and whatever she could find. And the end result, in my opinion, is decent. I was not confident at all in making essentially a furry. It's hard balancing on the line of human and animal, and I don't really know whether this is on the right side of that. Then we have our favorite little fly in the sky, Pharah. She is someone with a lot of armor, so I thought making a skin for her would be extremely boring. The theme, if you remember, was a bald eagle, and gotta be honest, I was even more lost with this one than the Cassidy one. How are you supposed to turn an armored flying rocket launcher into an eagle? So I took my time with this one, just by trying things until I got an idea that I could chase. But then I drew the helmet as an eagle head and realized I could just make the armor look like thick feathers and give it a bit of texture to make it look like an eagle. I made the wings look like actual wings to sell the eagle look and chose simple coloring to make the hard skin to draw a little bit easier. I don't know if it needs more detail, maybe more in the leg area. That I can definitely see getting more defined, but otherwise I'm not bad about this end result. If I had infinite time, maybe I would have made it more detailed, but for now I think this is okay. The Roadhog skin with the theme of green thistles I thought would be easy, but this might be the skin I had the most slow start with. All I got from this flower was that it was spiky from the top, purple petals and green from the bottom. That's when I decided to make the skin more generally just plant themed, with the thistle in there whenever I could manage to think of something. And the skin in the end isn't very impressive. If anything, I think this skin could pass as an epic rarity. I didn't get a lot of design down, it's very standard plant themed stuff, so I don't think it's anything special, but visually it doesn't look bad, just a little lacking. Genji got the theme of Among Us, which sounds like a bunch of fun, but in reality, how are you supposed to turn this into a skin for something complex like Genji? I could easily take inspiration from anything in the game, like maps, the lore, or I could just turn Genji into a man wearing an Among Us skin suit. So as you can see, I went with the latter, and I don't regret my actions. If we're being real, this is the only way an Among Us crossover would actually be acceptable. And maybe if this collab would actually happen, wouldn't it be fun if the skins had an option to choose between different hats? Like as if they were mythic skins but lower quality. I think that would be cool. Now for Junkrat. As I already mentioned before, the theme is specifically an aggressive unicorn. I wanted there to be a lot of fire and the skin and fur to be on fire or burned, but that ended up looking messy and ugly, so I just made it what it is now. Also, the unicorn had to be aggressive, so to show that, I made the eyes look all mysterious and glowing. The end result I personally think looks pretty cool. Maybe this still isn't actually professional level art, but at least I can feel good knowing it's better than what the first one looked like. And again, out of the 10 I made, this definitely is my favorite from the concept to execution. The next one is Hanzo with skeleton theme. For this one I didn't realize how tricky it would be, because only when I started I realized that skeletons are usually very thin, and I need to fill out an entire model worth of art, so I need to make the hands, legs and everything thick. I ended up using the same logic as the invisible Cassidy skin, and just drew the necessary outlines to show the volume of the model. Like the hand bones are 3 bones connecting to a middle bone instead of 1, like a normal skeleton. Also, the face is anatomically just incorrect for the sake of making the skin look a little bit more like Hanzo and keep the model in check. And otherwise, the colors and details, I just tried to make it something I like, and something that went decently well with the other elements. From a concept standpoint, I don't think I did terrible here. Finally, we have Tracer with the blood theme. With this one, I have to say, I didn't really have much issues. I just started working and went along whatever I had in my mind at the time. I tried making her look a little bit like a vampire with the white hair and pale skin, and sharp shapes to indicate an aggressive entity instead of what Tracer normally is, soft and inviting. The end result in my opinion is fine. The most issue I have is with the shading and coloring, but otherwise I think the concept is pretty cool. Maybe a little bit safe, but that's okay in my opinion. And there we have it. Those are all the skins I made for the video. Making these 10 skins was very eye-opening. When I compare these to the actual skin concepts from the game artist, I feel like I still have things to learn. Not only in skin making, but art in general, especially the cleanliness of the art. Sometimes I make my art look a little bit muddy and rushed, but otherwise not bad. This whole thing was actually fun, but it does take a long time to make even one skin. So next time I don't know if I will be making so many of them. We'll see. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment for future skin ideas or anything you might have thought about this video. I appreciate you, I hope you stick around for the channel, and yeah, I'll see you next time.